Hello and welcome to Empire Rugby League. This is Coaching from the Couch with Bear and Wombat. I'm the Bear, and guess what? Wombat is back. Wombat, how are you?
Not bad. I'm back out of the hole.
Well, I heard you were digging a tunnel down south.
No, going to my favourite hometown, Melbourne. No, I had to go there for work, unfortunately.
Nah, that's all right, mate. I hope the weather was better than what it was in Sydney for you. No, you got the wet weather too?
Yeah, it was wet, it was cold, it was miserable.
No, it's the home of the storm. You expect a few storms when you go there.
Well, talking of the storm, they took the weather up there with them.
Yeah, they did too. But anyway, we'll get cracking into this round 13 review. First game was Dragons 20 over the Newcastle Knights 6. Now,
I didn't see much of this game because I was stuck in an airport.
You were stuck in an airport? That's all right. No dramas there. I tell you what, the big news out of this one was obviously no Kalen Ponga was rested.
Yeah, I did see that very late.
Got some people blowing up about it, but this will be one of the very rare times, Wombat, where I'm actually going to stick up for Adam O'Brien. I think Adam O'Brien...
Sticking up for someone we ripped into. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, look, only for one reason only. He came out and he rested Kalen from a player welfare point of view.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I understand it. I don't blame him. I think he has done the right thing by the player.
Yeah, wasn't it like three games?
Well, if you had
a week or something,
if he had have played the Friday night game against the Dragons, it would have been 3 games. He would have played 3 games in 8 days.
Yeah, that's a big fall.
Wednesday night Origin.
Yep.
To then go to the Friday night against the Dragons. To then go, they got the short turnaround because they play Thursday night this week.
Yeah, that's now, a short, sharp turnaround.
It is, and especially if you're going to manage a niggling ankle injury, which after a heavy workload needs a few days to settle. You would not have had him at his best or anything. You actually would have risked him doing that ankle even worse if he had played on Friday night against the Dragons.
Yeah, but having said that, with resting him, the Knights having Fletcher Sharp go straight to fullback.
It's a nice little luxury.
Yeah, I don't think they lost too much in Fletcher going back there. I think, if anything, they gained a little bit more speed out of him because Fletcher Sharp isn't playing with any injuries as far as we're aware.
No, 100%. And he absolutely shot the lights out in Bathurst against the Panthers while Kalen was in Origin camp.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got no issue with the Kalen Ponga resting.
Clearly wasn't enough to beat the Dragons, though, 20-8.
Oh, no, it was
20-6, sorry.
20-6. But, like, at the end of the day, I don't think if Kalen plays, that scoreline changes.
No.
Like, it wasn't a game that Newcastle were in at all. The switch of Kyle Flanagan and King Tongia from 6 to 7, so Flanagan wore the 7, Tongia in the 6.
Yeah.
Made sense to me. I think it worked as well, especially for the first Dragons try. The try assist Kyle came up with there was a touch of class. Like Kyle's shown that he can have those classy moments in the past. He's just never been consistent at it.
Yeah, okay. He's a hot and cold in the middle of the moments.
Yeah, but at the same time, if no one else is going to grab that 7 jersey, I think Kyle is a good 7 for the Dragons.
You reckon that means Ilias doesn't come back into the side, or...?
I don't know what the go is there, but maybe. But a big boy that goes under the radar. He's probably a cult favourite. Big Blake Laurie.
Oh, yeah.
Got a game this week and starting prop, and I tell you what, I haven't seen him play like that in a few years.
Okay.
Like, absolutely blew Newcastle off the paddock in the first 25 minutes with his stint. So you either got to rock it throughout the week, or he's finally realised that if he knuckles down and tries hard, he can play some decent footy.
Well, I did see that, what's the young fella's name? Loco Pacifica? Yeah.
Crashed over his first career try.
I seen his highlights of his try when I was able to get enough service for my phone. Because, Melbourne Airport lost power, so we couldn't get any.
Bugger.
Yeah, that was why we were stuck. But I did see highlights of his try. Far out, the celebration of his looked like they just won a match-winning try.
Oh, yeah. Well, first career try, and he's second or third game?
Yeah, he's a big unit, though.
He's a big lad. But touched on Blake Laurie and obviously young Loco. Blake Laurie goes off. Jack DeBellin comes on. I swear I haven't seen Jack play like that either for a long time. Like,
yeah, well, normally he's a mainstay in that side, but with the likes of some of the younger boys coming through, like obviously we've got Dylan Egan, who unfortunately he's got an ACL for the rest of the year. Like him being there, then Hamish Stewart was there. He's taken the third. He's taken it off him, but he's held on to it too. So Jack DeBellin's got some work to do to get that back. But I think what you're saying is that him coming off the bench was even more solid. I think that's where he's going to be. I
actually didn't mind it. I think it gained that. We talk about Manly similarly with Bullimore and
the leg speed.
The leg speed, yeah. So I think that Jack DeBellin off the bench, I think that's a good mix. But again, another forward from the Dragons that wound the clock back, something huge. David Clemmer.
David Clemmer did.
Holy shit. Mate, picky for New South Wales again. That's the sort of form he was in. He played 60 unbroken minutes.
That's solid for someone like that.
They weren't just passenger minutes. They were one or two sets, carries in a set. They were defensive. He was mate. He wound it was nearly doggies. David Clemmer.
Yeah, right.
It was awesome.
So going back when the hair was still going on his head.
He was phenomenal, and maybe that's just the leadership role has finally clicked with him with all those young forwards at the club.
Do you think maybe it's Shane Flanagan actually telling Clemmer to simplify his job and just go lead rather than do everything?
Quite possibly, because we know that about Flano. He's a rather task orientated. Give you a job, you do your job, you're sweet.
But you see it a little bit with in the past with Leilua. Leilua, he's named to start, but then with Dylan Egan was a last minute switch, and that happened for about 3 or 4 games there. Where that's happened, but Leilua's come on and it's provided that little bit of leadership and I guess relief off the halves.
Yeah, because Leilua ball plays.
Yeah, ball plays and beats at 13, but then you've got Hamish Stewart or DeBellin in the 13 that just runs the ball hard.
Yeah.
So in a way, they sort of, I think that might be a similar way to go on it. But
yeah, I think Flano's found the start of a successful recipe.
It could be because it's starting to. We're starting to get the cherry pickings now.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we'll move on. The Badger v Wombat game.
Pretty much, yeah.
Titans 16 went down to the Storm 28. This was up on the Gold Coast, and I tell you what, mate, watching it on KO. I was watching it a grey screen for half of it because the rain was coming down that heavy. You could see it
at the start because I put it on. At this point, I was back home, so I was fortunate enough to actually watch this game. And I turned it on, and I thought there was something wrong with the feed.
Yeah.
I honestly thought so. I turned it off and turned it back on. And I went, yeah, no, that's the rain.
Yep, it was pouring.
And the one that stopped for me is that at kickoff, Jaden Campbell had lined up to take the kick, and how heavy the rain looked like it was falling, but it was weird. It was falling, but it didn't look like it was hitting any of the players. Yeah.
It's that weird camera angle. I don't know what they do with that camera angle, but if it's raining a little bit, you don't see it. It looks like a fine day. But when you can see the rain on that standard camera angle, you know it's coming down.
Yeah, and you know it's coming down heavy when you can see the ball tilting and moving from the water. Like, that was intense.
Now, with this one, no Harry Grant, no Xavier Coates backing up, and the Titans... I'll tell you what, they had some major last-minute reshuffles with AJ Brimson and De Groot going down in the captain's run.
Yeah, both concussions, wasn't it? Yeah,
something like that. So Jaden Campbell switches to fullback, which, nothing wrong there. That's, And
was it Foran went to 6 and Weaver went to 7?
Yeah. So Sammy Weaver got called up. Foz goes from the bench into 6. Like, bit of a mismatch, but at the same time, all those players are...
Yeah, they could all play where they need to be, but I think in this game it was a lackluster Storm outfit in that game. Well, from what I've seen, they seem to rush everything.
Yeah, there's not a lot of patience about Melbourne lately, and it's strange.
In a way, I know there's a lot of talks around in the media and whatnot about where's Pappy going, because obviously he hasn't re-signed with the Storm, and there's a few things that people didn't know is that Su'A Fa'alongo has a clause in his contract that if Pappy re-signs, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Now...
That's basically Melbourne make a choice. It's one or the other.
But when you look at them, both of the players, they're playing freakish backyard footy together.
Yeah.
Which is weird. But you see it, and like Pappy's first try came off pure, utter brilliance.
Oh, yeah. That was individual brilliance, yeah.
But a few of them, there was a few opportunities there where Pappy's done it, and I think the camera people have actually locked onto it, because when something happens like that, where it's just, what the fuck happened, immediately to Craig Bellamy.
Yeah.
Like, immediately.
And 9 times out of 10, even if they score, he's blowing up.
Yeah. But it's not about the player that scored. It's about some player that's back here that hasn't done anything.
Yeah, hasn't done their 1% job or something. But I tell you what, it was good to see Jackie Howarth back from injury. And
from his shoulder injury, yeah.
Had a little running battle throughout the 80 minutes with JJ Fafita.
Oh, JJ Fafita showed him up in the first couple of minutes. He did get one back on him, though, afterwards. He did. There was one way to test that shoulder out is just send it. Just send your body into that person. And he nailed him after that first couple of hiccups. I think there was one that led to a try on the inside.
Oh, absolutely shaped and baked him for the first Titans try. Then or the break or whatever it was. Yeah.
The second mini break, he got around him, but he was able to get him. And then from then on, he was like, okay, I've got you now.
Yeah, I'm locked in now. Yeah, that was a great little battle. One that we weren't expecting. But as you said, about lack of patience from Melbourne, it's like whenever they get inside the opposition 20, for some reason now...
We have to score. We have to
score, or we have to kick, or we have to... Like, it's... Melbourne are notorious for that. We'll get down here, and we're not leaving for the next 10 minutes. You see that tent? That's where we are.
Even Hughes. Like, Hughes was panicky, and Munster was panicky, but I think where that seemed to stem from, and I think out of all people, me being my team, Pappy. It's coming from Pappy, unfortunately. I think the pressure of no signature or no future is certain for him.
He's trying playing that extra 20 just to get something.
Yeah, just to put my name in a bit more radar, where I feel like this is maybe hurting the team more so.
Well, there's almost a few, like we touched on Harry Grant at the start of the year, and even in Origin, come up with some selfish, dumb plays. And now Pappy's not doing the selfish play, but he's probably throwing that overs call too often.
Yeah, and it's more, in a way, it's like freakish. He's allowing just freak natural footy to take over.
Yeah.
Because you see it with, there was one there where Pappy Sua's gone down the sideline. It started with Pappy, went to Hughes, went to Sua, down the sideline, and he's kicked it back in.
Second try before half time.
Yeah, but
that was a lucky one.
Yeah. But this one was going back a bit where Sua's kicked it, Banana kicked it back inside.
Oh.
And Pappy got that and scored. But I can't remember what game that was. But
that was Magic Round, wasn't it?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think so. Because
that sort of style of freakish footy, you don't normally see that from the Storm. You see it from the likes of the Titans, maybe the Broncos, or maybe the Wars of all teams.
Yeah.
The Storm being that frantic footy play or footy team just doesn't suit them.
Yeah.
You can see it's kind of hurting them.
Yeah, look, Melbourne come away with 2 points, but I don't think you've got a happy Craig Bellamy.
They don't seem to be doing well in the wet either.
Yes, well, they're one of a few teams. Yeah. We picked up on the Doggies as well. The Doggies can't play in the rain. Penrith can't play in the rain.
Yeah.
Now, Melbourne seem to be slipping up in the rain.
Yeah, they have. And, for the Titans, out of all of them, I'd say 2 players stood out for me was Tino and Fermel. Just, Tino coming back from an ACL injury, you'd expect someone to
ease into
it, take their time. Tino is just going, I'm doing everything I can to catch up for the year of footy I've missed.
Yeah, and plus coming off Origin as well. I thought Jaden Campbell was pretty damn good for the Titans as well. He was in anything good the Titans did, JC was around.
I think he played enough of his hand that he needed to, but I think he needed to apply himself a bit more. But
fair enough.
Maybe that's because of the role of, I've got to switch to fullback now. I'm not a halfback anymore for this game.
Yeah, whereas he could have maybe still done that role.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. You
see it a lot in most modern day fullbacks now.
Anyway, we travel all the way up to Townsville to Cowboys 32 over the West Tigers 28. Now, this scoreline is wrong. This should not have been this close. But there was a battle that I didn't pick up in a preview, but Jesus Christ, once the ball was kicked, how did we miss it? Bateman versus Luai.
Oh, Bateman had it out for Luai, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that was personal.
There was
That
a
was
run.
personal.
Remember, there was a run in the first half. He's gone up the middle of the field, and he just turns and goes, "I'm going straight at him."
That was a personal battle, I think. And to be honest, Bateman came away with the chocolates on more than one occasion there. But the best win came pretty quickly. Bateman has obviously. We know Bateman's a bit of a niggler. He'll talk a bit of shit.
He's chirpy.
Luai's tackled him 5 metres out from the goal line. And I'm going to assume that there was a little bit of chirp on the ground. You don't see it in the footage, but Luai then gets penalised because it's his 3rd infringement in 3 plays and sent to the sin bin.
Yeah.
I don't think he could have painted a bigger smile on Bateman's face.
If you actually go back 2 tackles prior, Bateman was the first one that got the first 6 again.
Yeah.
And then runs it again at him. So I think that might have been tactical, really.
If it was, well done to Todd Payton for stoking the fire.
I don't think that was a Todd Payton. I think that was a John Bateman.
I think that's what I mean. I think it was personal.
100%. But he got away with the sin bin. And touching on the sin bin, Tigers went back into their dark ages last year
there
of
was
being
2 sin bins in that game.
Pretty sure there's 3 actually.
Yeah, but 1 from the Cowboys, that's all right. But
2
from the Tigers in 1 game again.
There should have been a 3rd one in that.
Yeah, possibly, but
Seyfarth.
Oh god, yeah.
Seyfarth taking out a player deliberately without the ball.
Oh yes, yeah.
That was.
How did that? Yeah, but. We'll get to that in a little bit because...
firstly, how the fuck was that missed?
Yeah, I don't think it was missed. We'll keep wrapping some players here. Reece Robson, out of dummy half. I don't know what has happened, but in 2025, he's discovered how to run.
Trent Robinson getting in his ear? Maybe?
Possibly, but you saw it Wednesday night. You've seen it prior for the earlier 12 rounds as well. But Robson was running, I think, from in the first set. The Cowboys had. I think 3rd play he ran, made a 40-metre break down the field. He single-handedly destroyed the Tigers' middle in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he was turning around. He started even turning around Terrell May for a fair while there. So moving the big boys around in the middle, and another Origin player, which is fortunate on my side of the fence, is Tom Dearden.
Oh yeah, had an absolute screamer as always.
Playing in the 7 with
Peugeot in the 6.
Yeah, with the 6, but with the loss of Queensland this year, maybe it's changing of the guard now.
Oh, that's a big call, Wombat. We'll get to that a little bit later. But again, the Tigers' first try, I'm pretty sure that's on all the highlight reels because that was a highly skilled try. There was some beautiful ball movement in that. We wrap the Tigers when they deserve it. But the bench for the Cowboys,
they turned it up a gear, didn't they?
Reece Robson and Jordan McLean actually was quite strong in this game too. So the starting pack did their job. They blasted the middle. The bench came on in Cohen House and Griffin Neem, and they went, "Oh, we've seen these boys do it easy. Let us have a crack."
Yeah,
I tell you what, have a crack. Those 2 boys just went, "Oh, that wall looks a little bit skinny. I'm going straight through it."
Yeah, nearly every run that they took after they started cycling their bench was borderline line breaks.
Oh yeah, like they won the contest in every single run that those 2 took.
Almost wet paper towel level defense.
Oh, it was ordinary. But Jeremiah Nanai,
his aerial try.
When do we stop being shocked by this? Because
I think when he does it,
happens every fortnight.
But if he starts doing it every game, is when we should stop being shocked.
Yeah,
I think.
But he did it on Wednesday night too. But then his try, go back and watch it.
He's an aerial threat.
Yeah,
which is weird to say for a back rower.
Yeah, but Nanai, he does it, and I still sit there, watch the TV, and go, "Holy shit!" But then I go, "Hang on, He does it all the time.
It's like, oh, it's Nanai. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
But why do I still get blown away by it?
I think it's because we're still used to fullbacks and wingers
Yeah.
doing it rather than a back rower.
Possibly. But again, the Tigers attack inside the opposition 20. It just
Disappears.
It falls to absolute pieces. Now, I have a theory, and those that have been with us since late last year will know my feelings towards Luai. Now, this is not a personal attack, but that game on the weekend showcased to me that Luai is not a 7 and will need at least two to 3 years to become a 7, because in attack it looks like he doesn't actually communicate to the rest of his team what he's thinking or what he's going to do, and expects them to be mind readers and just be in the right spot without him telling them.
I think we've touched on him before about being that instinctual player at a system that works, like the Penrith side.
Because you had Nathan there that was the rock, basically,
Yeah.
which allowed Luai to go be the firecracker,
Yeah.
I suppose is the best way to put it. And now you're starting to see that with Blaze, young Blaze Talangi at Penrith. But at the Tigers, it's not working.
Yeah, it's pretty fair assessment, I think, really, unless you talk to a diehard Tigers fans that love him. But
I mean, the fact that the Tigers started looking and having conversations with Adam Reynolds tells you everything you need to know.
Well, one thing I think, when we were sitting down and we were having our discussions with, I think it was Sweeney before we kicked off our coaching from the couch thing, is I think we go back and we spoke about his ego towards a lot of things, but he's coming in as a captain to a brand new side, or co-captain to a bloke who's been there for a while.
Yeah.
Now, if your captain's sitting there giving away multiple 6 games and gets sent to the bin,
Yeah.
that's
Not a great look.
It's not a great look, is it?
No.
Like, I understand, and I know people would probably say about Appy being sin binned. Now, Appy has been sin binned on some occasions. However, I think I'd say the last 5 that I can remember.
2 were harsh. I think one was a repeat infringement one.
One was a repeat infringement, I know for certain. One out of the 5, one was 100% warranted, is because he escorted someone off the ball.
Okay, fair.
And he was the only Tigers player in frame. I actually think it was against the Broncos, I think.
Oh,
It was a last year game.
Yeah,
but
last year. But look, Appy, the couple of sin bins he copped last year, there was a few that everyone turned around and went, that's harsh.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the Tigers last year, and they were sort of the whipping boys, so
Yeah.
you cop that. But they need a genuine 7, because Luai's 5th play option, cutting and dancing across the line and then either dropping the ball on the ground out the back or some little grubber kick, that doesn't work. That's not going to work for the Tigers.
I think there was a few times, there was about 5 or 6 times where he's passed the ball and it's just landed to no one. It's just landed on the ground.
Now, yes, Tigers fans and diehards will turn around and go, oh, but they scored off that play. Yeah, they scored off that play with some ball movement and frantic backyard footy. But that's not how you win consistently.
No.
And that's not how you score consistently.
I guess one highlight you can say out of the Tigers is Heath Mason coming into the 6. I think he did really, really well. Challenged the line a fair bit, and I guess played his cards right when he needed to, but also knew when to hand it off.
Yeah, look, for a young kid, first crack at NRL in the 6, we've seen him at fullback in bits and pieces and as a 14. But look, that battle for the 6 at the Tigers is going to get very interesting very quickly, I think. Especially if the Tigers genuinely go into the market for a 7. Because then you're going to have Latu Fainu, young Heath Mason, and Luai battling out for the 6 jersey. And potentially Jaden Sullivan comes back next year from his loan deal from Souths.
No, I don't think he will.
I
don't think he will.
I let rip a little possible suggestion there where I think there may be a player swap for Lewis Dodd to Jaden Sullivan. Lewis Dodd goes to the Tigers. Jaden Sullivan goes to stays at South Sydney. They're both on about the same money, which is ridiculous. But They're both on roughly the same money, and it gives the Tigers a 7. And Sullivan's playing some decent, probably some of the best footy of his career under Wayne.
Speaking of Sullivan and the Bunnies, we roll into the next one with up the Wars against the Bunnies.
Yes,
36 to 30. I have been faithful from the beginning.
You have
for
been.
The Wars.
I jumped back on the train this week, and they didn't let me down. There was a few hairy moments in the second half, but hats off to Latrell. Can we just have him on a media ban for the rest of his career if he's going to play this sort of footy?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying that is take the outside noise away from Latrell and just let him play footy like he is this year, and we may finally get to see the Latrell Mitchell that everybody thinks is there.
The grand final, Latrell Mitchell at the Roosters. Yeah. We'll get obviously the bad news out of the way for the Wars, unfortunately, and the New South Wales fans is, fortunately, Mitch Barnett has confirmed an ACL injury, so that's his season done for the Wars.
Which is unfortunate, but I tell you what, when he went down, a bloke by the name of Jackson Ford came off the bench and did not miss a beat.
Carbon copy. But I think that's the culture that Andrew Webster's instilled into the Wars, is that a player goes down, you're next.
Yeah.
Or you've got a job to do, go do it. Yeah. But I think Jackson Ford did really well. He took it on the chin and goes, okay, he's down. I've got to step up tenfold.
Yeah, I thought Jackson was really good off the bench. And for the future of the Wars, I think losing Barnett hurts them more than losing Fish.
Yeah. Well, Barnett has been that cultural leader in that pack. Well, I'm using the sense of being the Wars, being that cultural side. He's not
Kiwi.
No, he's not Kiwi at all.
He's a white boy.
But he's. I think he's got that pure respect and leadership in that side more than any other player in that side.
Yeah, I think he's earned his respect and that within that team through hard work.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And if you earn your respect through hard work, it's very hard to lose it.
Well, he has been captain of that side for quite a while.
Yeah. Again, another dummy half. I'm turning to you. I'm picking up all these dummy halves. Wade Egan.
It's rubbing off on you.
Great performance yet again. Just literally toyed with the South forwards. But of course, hands down, player of the match, player of he was your player of the week.
Round, yeah. Chance Nickel clocks that.
Bro.
339 something run meters.
Over 300 metres, a try, tackle breaks galore. I think he only missed one tackle for the whole game as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Chance, we talked about this before we got on. Chance he's always been that hard-working fullback. It's just unfortunate that a lot of weeks his hard work doesn't lead to something brilliant or highlight reel worthy. But he's always doing that hard work.
Oh yeah, always. But he goes after it too. Like, he doesn't take a backwards step. He's just always moving around. Very similar to Pappy, actually. Is he's always moving around the ball.
Yeah.
Like, the ball's in play, I'm moving.
Yes, yeah. He's never flat-footed. I'll tell you what though, come the second half, I think someone got a tap in the shoulder or a whisper in the ear, because in the second half, all of a sudden, the ruck was refereed very differently for both sides. I feel like, and I didn't look at this game, but I feel like the Bunnies were allowed to lay around in the ruck and lay on the ruck for a lot longer than what the leniency was for the Wars.
Looking at the game, it did seem that way.
Which sort of leans to the South's comeback, because all of a sudden the momentum dries up for the Wars and Souths are on the front foot. And yes, Latrell played awesomely.
It sets in that little bit more fatigue, really, for the players as well.
100%. And look, take nothing away from Trell. He stood up and did his thing in the second half, and I love seeing it. But realistically, South should never have been this close.
Yeah, I will admit, I did get a little bit worried there towards the end. Like,
so did I.
I will say, congrats to AJ for cracking 200 tries in the NRL.
12 more to go to break the record.
13.
12 to even it, yep.
But sorry to say, he did not deserve that final try to get him to 200.
That was forward.
Both passes leading up to that were forward. From Hubner to Latrell Mitchell, Ford as anything. Like all the Waz players all threw their hands up like Ford. The crowd said Ford. Then the second one happened, and then they blew up even more.
Yeah, that cutout pass was very similar to the one he threw against the Roosters, which was Ford. Anyway, we'll move on. Battle of the West, Penrith v Para. Unfortunately, Para went down 18-10. Look, I previewed this with Badger, and we said, no matter where these teams are on the ladder, this game is always something to watch. And 18-10, it was a game. And credit to Cleary, the turning point of the match was that 40-20.
Yeah.
Penrith were nowhere near the game until that 40-20 got kicked. And, yep, great play. I'm going to chip young Isaiah Iongi because that game, both teams, when they were kicking inside their own 40, every single kick from both teams that entire game was a deliberate attempt at a 40-20. How do you let a 40-20 in that late in the game when it's been the pattern?
Complacency, lack of experience, maybe?
I'm not sure what happened with the young kid, but the master taught him a lesson, basically, because Cleary saw he was out of position, and, mate, it was a beautiful kick. I'll give him that. And the bastard bought his kicking boots as well, because he kicked every fucking conversion. Couldn't kick him on Wednesday night, but he kicked him on friggin' Saturday. Or Sunday, sorry. Bastard. But that's, it is what it is. But Parramatta looked like world beaters in the first half, like early. They probably blew two tries. Like, they had Penrith absolutely scattered. Hopgood ball playing through the middle. Dylan Brown's early touches in defence saved 2 tries. And he set up a few line breaks as well. And I thought, oh, hey, Dill's on. He went missing in the second half. As I said, both sevens come out of win an Origin together and just went, all right, we're going to kick the shit out of each other here. And it was a kicking duel because neither team could get beyond into the opposition 20 for a majority of the game. So it was kick to the corner, kick to the corner, kick to the... It was a strategy battle, and I'm a bit weird. I enjoyed that.
Strategy battle in the halves, but I think the overall pack of Panthers' system ended up being the victors here.
Yeah, their scrambled D probably won them the game because Para had them shot for bits in the first half, but they just scrambled phenomenally. That and Parramatta ball handling. Like, in attack, had all the momentum, but then there'd be a drop ball. Or something like that. But then you switch over to the Penrith, mate, Brian Totter. Defensively, he absolutely smacked the shit out of whoever was in front of him. It was beautiful to watch because I just wish that he was in a blue jersey, not a black one that day.
He was a little wrecking ball, wasn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Like, he almost back to his best, almost. It's almost like that injury, that one game, the week off, and then Origin. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm about to do this. Like,
maybe it's just the confidence to have in that hamstring again.
Just slid back straight into...
It was a hamstring.
It was a hammy. It was a bad hammy too. Kept him out for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, and then he came back and then...
Then they had the bye. Then Origin. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because he had one game to do it under his belt.
Yeah. I mean, you want to play forward pass game? Penrith's second try. Just go back and have a look at it.
Weren't they talking about Nathan Cleary being the Tom Brady of the NRL?
Yeah, well...
Whoops.
In that game, you could have changed the competition letter to NFL, but whatever.
Can't change the results, unfortunately.
Again, another game where I felt, and this might be my blue and gold goggles, but I felt Penrith were allowed to lay around in the ruck and do whatever they want. Had like a 5-second ruck. Parramatta, as soon as they touched them, the call was held, release. It's like, well, hang on a minute. And
that has been the Panthers over the last few years, hasn't it, though?
It has, and then we brought a rule in to try and stop that bullshit
and they
with the play the ball, and that play the ball rule is gone out the window, and you go back and watch Penrith on the weekend, not a single player even tries to touch the ball with their foot.
Watch this. Knowing our luck, we'll make comment on it, it'll pop up in the next round and it'll be the worst thing ever because they'll nitpick everything.
Yeah, they'll have the crackdown again. But yeah, look, it is what it is. Moving on, last game on Sunday was Roosters 24, went down to the Raiders 26. This was a fucking game. Fantastic game.
Oh, yeah. Fortunately only got to watch the highlights of this game, but again, looking at the results, looking at the stats, it was a 50-50 game.
Oh, it was. Like, don't get me wrong, Roosters came out firing and were the better team for a majority of the game, probably for 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. The first half, it was all Roosters. They deserved everything they got.
Not bad for the most Roosters players to play in an Origin as well.
Yeah, they had four or five back up.
Five, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So, look, Roosters were great, but I tell you what, everyone's carrying on about the Tigers coming back and the Bunnies coming back. They weren't comebacks. What Canberra did was a genuine comeback. They had to work for every inch.
A big turning point I remember seeing in a highlight was Owen Paddy kicking that 40-20.
Mate,
that 40-20 was
beautiful.
Was huge but perfect.
Yeah.
His foot, I reckon if he took an extra step or half step, that wouldn't count.
Yeah, he would have been on the line. But I did. I don't know if you listened, but with the Badger last week, I did channel my inner Wombat, and I predicted the team change on the day. Yeah. That Starling was named in 9, but I reckon Danny Levi will start the game. And
I'm glad someone else started picking up on my little trick here.
But yeah, so Owen started off the bench, but I tell you what, he probably belted out 60 minutes. Like once he went on there, you couldn't take him off.
Yeah, he was just in that groove.
Morgan Smithies defensively. Holy shit, I did not want to be tackled by that bloke. Oh, he bashed the living crap out of the Roosters. Other than that, the bunker reared its head. The call for the Joey Tarpany knock on is ridiculous.
Is this the one where he's done the crying to the fan?
No, that was last week. That was last week in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But look, go back and watch it. Come at me if you want, but I think that's a terrible call. What else? Roosters. Now, I said that they blew Canberra off the park. They did a little bit, but they also had to defend their asses off on the goal line whenever Canberra had the ball, and did. Like, it was... I'm thinking the Roosters are on here.
Well, Roosters have always been that good side to defend in their red zone.
Yeah.
They always have been. But you might be able to help me out here on one of them is there was one that got deemed as a Raiders no try. Is this the one where Angus Crichton was holding... Was it Tamale that he was holding back? I don't know who it was, but... He was deliberately holding someone back. I wasn't...
Yeah, no, he was.
Yeah.
But they found a loophole and it's right, but it's wrong. So Owen Paddy was offside from the moment of the kick, which they've deemed as the first infringement. Now, the player that has kicked the ball is the one that Angus Crichton has held back. Mm-hmm. So potentially that player could have run Owen Paddy onside if they had have let play continue, but was denied the chance to run him onside because of Crichton's foul play.
Yep. So now, to me, that should be a penalty
to Canberra.
To Canberra, yeah, borderlining a sin bin, yeah.
Now, because Owen Paddy was offside from the initial kick, the referees and the bunkers have ruled that as the first infringement. Therefore, the pullback by Crichton doesn't even come into play.
When have they ever?
That's how they've ruled it.
What about all the other offsides off kicks that we've mentioned a few times? I know for a fact we have.
Yeah. And that's why I can sense the frustration. But to be honest, I think that was the best thing for Canberra.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that was the point I watched in the highlights, that it turned and a highlights just showed nothing but 15 Canberra. Minutes of Canberra.
Yep, that's literally where it turned. Not only that, there was another one too. The Roosters... So it was actually probably the set after that no try. The Roosters go down the field. There's a few offloads. There's an offload that goes to Connor Watson. it touches his hand and hits the ground. Play on is called. A few more passes go by and the Roosters score in the corner. Nothing picked up, nothing said about the Watson knock on.
Wow.
So I think from that moment on, Canberra just turned around and went, you know what? Screw this. This is ours. You're not taking it off us. We will grit and grind our way to this, and they did. 2-point fucking victory. The one thing I will say out of that game, Hudson Young has to replace Angus Crichton for Origin. Mate, his involvements alone are phenomenal. But, yeah, that is what it is. But Canberra, well-deserved win, I think. Now, this wasn't the last game of the round, Wombat, but it is going to be the last game that we review this week, or for this segment. Manly 34 over the Broncos 6.
At Suncorp, mind you.
No, this was at Brookie.
No, yep, sorry. I'm thinking of
4
that.
Pines.
Yeah, 4 Pines.
Only 3 players in that entire Broncos lineup had ever played at 4 Pines Park before.
Oh, right.
Because this is the first time Brisbane have played Manly at 4 Pine or at Brookvale in 11 or 12 years.
But who won that last game?
How? I don't know. Oh, it probably would have been Manly. But...
Not in the history of the Broncos.
Now, obviously that scoreline says Manly carved up, and they did. Purely DCE. You want to go and have a shit game at rep level, and you want to make up for it, this is how you do it. This is the masterclass. Leadership, controlling, game management at his best. Haven't seen that all year from DCE.
Wasn't it two 40-20s in this game as well? Or was it...
Potentially, I didn't mark that down, but look, Manly, their edge defence shut down, especially their left edge, I think it was, shut down any shift, any movement the Broncos even tried.
I know Olakau'atu, Luke Brooks were the two that stood out to me a lot. Olakau'atu's defence, but Luke Brook was on the left, the right, the middle, inside, backside, and I'm pretty sure he was behind the Broncos at some point because he was everywhere.
Yeah.
There was he got down the sideline, then all of a sudden next play he's on the right hand side setting up Olakau'atu's try, and then off the kickoff he's back on the left, and then he's on the right side. He was everywhere. He was nuts.
Oh, absolutely. And despite the referee trying to give as much help to the Broncos as possible with some very, very soft and questionable penalties, it didn't help them. DCE and Brooks absolutely embarrassed Jesse Arthurs at fullback. He's not a fullback. But doing his job like us, so I'll leave him alone. But he's not a fullback.
No, I think...
Mind you, the other fullback, Lehigh Hopewadi. Surely Manly now, they have to leave Lehigh at the back. Tommy's got to play in the centres.
But which centre do you drop? Do you drop Kohler or do you drop Garrick?
You can't drop Garrick because he's your goal kicker. So unfortunately, you got to drop young Clayton for Lalo, even though he had an absolute screamer this game.
And push Kohler
out to the wing.
Becoming another Brian Toto in a way.
It's a big body, so that yardage carry comes back, and he's quick.
What was the other... Manly have got another winger that it just looks like a wrecking ball.
Oh, Tommy Talau. He played this game.
No, not Tommy Talau. There's another one that they've got. He's a young bloke. We've mentioned him a few times here.
I can't remember.
Tofa or something like that.
Oh, I can't remember. But they've also got Jason Saab who's injured. Like, their outside back stocks
are nuts.
That's why I picked them to be there at the end of the year, because I don't think they need Turbo anymore. But unfortunately, their forward stocks have taken an absolute beating as well, which is going to let them down. But I tell you what, no Haas and no Paddy Carrigan on the field. Brisbane don't make 30 metres in a set.
No, they went nowhere. There was one set I watched. In 5 tackles, they went less than 10 metres.
Yeah.
You know the little thing pops up next to and it says how many metres they've gained?
Yeah.
Pretty sure it said 8.
Yeah. And
that was sad.
But Renault's clearly out of form. Something's not right with Renault. I don't know if there's an injury there that no one knows about or something, but something's not right with Renault, because realistically, 24 minutes to go, he should have been sin binned.
Oh, I didn't see that bit. Which one was that?
Can't remember what it was, but it's in my notes, so it must have been pretty ordinary. Have to go back and watch that one again. But again, Dean Mariner gets a game. He is all class. I don't understand how he has not been picked over Shibasaki. He's a passenger.
Yeah.
He's just lucky that he's on that edge and gets the last pass 9 times out of 10. You put Dean Mariner in that position, he's an actual weapon.
Do you think maybe it's more of a case of their outside backs, or more so their wingers, with the fact that Reece Walsh went down, he's not in there, and they're unsure of that?
But this was been since the start of the year. Shibasaki got the pick over Mariner. Now, this is like round 1, 2, 3. Like, this has been all year. I don't understand it.
I'm just trying to come up with a bit of solutions.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Madge, I don't think Madge is even... I don't think he's putting on the 17 that he wants every week. I think he's playing some mind games with them and going, look, I'm going to reward hard work and get you guys to work harder. Like, maybe he's playing a psychology game with them, because I don't think he's fielding the 17 he wants most weeks.
No. All right, we're going to poke the bear mode. Where do you think, and this is something I've noticed a fair bit, do you think it's a coaching problem or a player problem with the Brisbane Broncos?
All right. I think it's both. And I'm not saying that to sit on the fence. I think Madge is in a terrible, terrible position. He's come in with a playing group that he is now the 4th coach in 8 years at that club. They sacked Seabold because that clearly wasn't working. There was someone else in there as well. They've got rid of Kevy because
it was Bennett, then Seabold.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Wayne came back, but that fell sour. Then Siebes came in, and that just did not work. Now, Kevy Walters came in, and they were performing. There was something working there sometimes.
Do you think maybe that's because Kevy gave them everything they wanted, so they were happy?
Possibly too much to that. And then Madge has come in, and he is the complete polar opposite. So maybe he's playing softly a little bit. And look,
or is Madge trying to play a long-term game rather than a short-term?
I think he is. I genuinely don't think Madge thought the Broncos were going to do anything this year. I think he knew full well what the playing group mentality was like, and went, it's not going to be this year. It'll be the,
do you think
the
maybe
year after.
trying to break them early this year to then build them up at the end of next year to come out and just decimate next year?
Potentially, I think that's where Madge is at. I don't think Madge is looking at 25. I think he's looking at 26.
That's understandable.
But in saying that, the players have a lot to answer for. A lot to answer for.
Like, you've got Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan, right?
Those are the only two that I am excluding from this.
Like, these two, I could throw Jensen in there as well at times, because
need more from him.
You need more?
Need more from him.
Okay.
Compared to last year, he's not even at 40%.
Okay.
But that could be the positional switches that have happened in that forward pack as well.
Yeah. Well, you've got, like, Carrigan, he's the, as everyone says, it's the 1-2 punch combo between the two of them.
But it's expected now, and it's easy to stop if you know it's coming.
Especially Haas is just rushing. Like, you see so many teams do it. Manly did it fantastic over the weekend.
Take his time and space away. Treat him like a half.
Yeah.
Take his time and space away from him, and his runs are nowhere near as impactful. Look, it's common sense, common knowledge. But I think there's a deeper problem at Brisbane. I think it's somewhere in the boardroom or, those other areas that we don't get to see. I feel like the Broncos are trying to buy a premiership.
Yeah.
You look at that roster, all of them are well worth, on their day, over $500,000.
Yep.
A lot of them are worth a lot more and are getting paid that. But I think they're trying to buy a comp instead of developing one. Now, I do have a little bit of argument for that. Now, you look at the most successful club in the last 25 years is clearly Melbourne Storm. Melbourne Storm don't buy talent.
they build it. Like Cooper Cronk is the first one that comes to my mind.
Mate, all of them. Even the ones that are getting big money now, they didn't buy them on big money.
No.
They bought them as little shit kickers and little rejects from other clubs.
Think about just the two halves off the top of my head.
Munster and Hughes.
I was going to say Cronk at first.
Yeah.
They made him a half, and Hughes. He
Yeah.
started as a fullback.
Rejected from the
there.
Titans, rejected from the Cowboys. Melbourne come in, swoop him, and go put some work into it. So Melbourne develop their players. All right, so that's
Pappy as well. He's
Pappy,
another one.
Mate, Melbourne develop their players. All right, we leave Melbourne out of the conversation. They're the exception to the rule.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sweet as, no dramas. Who's sitting at the top of the ladder currently?
Dogs.
Dogs don't buy their talent. They've everything that the Dogs have done off the back of what their juniors are doing.
I could see just a small argument from the diehard fans would be Crichton.
Don't get me wrong, they have.
But I think they bought him not for his talent,
leadership.
his leadership.
Yeah. So yes, they stole a lot of Penrith players, but they couldn't all stay at Penrith anyway.
No.
And I guarantee you, they're not on as much money as what they would be if they went to different clubs. Now, in saying that, Serraldo also bought all those Penrith kids through.
Yeah.
So
he's got that connection.
Serraldo's developed those kids. They've just sort of come with him. The latest one, Galvin, yeah, okay, they've bought, but they're not paying big bucks for him. Their forwards, we thought they lost all their gun forwards. Have a look at them now. They're all these young kids from their pathway system that are killing it.
And they're all turning up for each other
And they're
too.
doing it. So, all right, okay. Bulldogs may be a bit questionable. Have a look at Penrith. The last 4 or 5 years, they have not bought anyone.
No. They've just all...
That is all homegrown.
Now they've bought Talangi, but they've just brought him back, haven't they?
Blaze
Or was
Talangi,
was
they got
originally?
for next to nothing because he was at Para.
I thought
wanted to go
just
over there.
my head. I thought he was from Penrith, but I could,
Nah. But
and they brought Papali'i in as well.
yeah, but he's an old boy coming back. But again, he's not on big money because he's coming from a shit form from the Tigers.
Yeah,
So, Dogs, the Melbourne develop a comp. Penrith develop to win a comp. The Dogs are developing to win a comp. The Raiders are developing to win a comp. The Wars are developing within to win a comp. The other teams that have started to click onto this, the Roosters. Now that's a shock. They usually do buy their premierships.
and then have all their juniors bought out from underneath.
Exactly, but now we're seeing a different trend at the Roosters. The Dolphins, we're seeing a lot of young fellas come through the Dolphins. Parramatta under Jason Rolls have now switched their mentality and they are developing to win a comp.
Yep.
The Cowboys, Jackson Purgeau, little Tom Duffy, they're starting to develop and to win a comp. And the Tigers.
Yeah, they're trusting a lot more of their younger players now.
So that alone tells me that the Broncos have got the formula wrong, or they're about 5 years behind.
Well, taking some of their younger players into consideration, Kobe Black. Yeah, he's a young kid, right?
Yep.
But he's old enough to crack NRL.
All right. Yep. 100% agree with you. And personally, I would have put Kobe Black in the 6 next to Adam Reynolds for at least 2 weeks before Ezra Mann.
He would have learnt so much. And I understand Rogers is out with a pec injury.
Yep. And Ben Hunt gone.
Yeah, Ben Hunt's gone, but also their next half below that is also gone of Jock Madden.
Yes.
So Jock Madden has got the pec tear and Josh Rogers is out. I think it's an ankle injury.
I think it's leg, yeah. But to rush Ezra Mann back in, and we saw the reception he got at Brookvale, I think that's wrong. You needed Ezra. I think that's a panic decision, or it's a playing group decision going pretty much an ultimatum to the coach going, if you don't pick him, well, we're not going to turn up.
I won't... Oh, just as a thought, but in their feeder club, they've still got Anthony Milford there.
Yeah, the MILF's still running around in reserve grade.
But
Look, I would have put Kobe Black in. He didn't have to do anything. Blood him now for the benefit of the future. I just think Brisbane have got a lot of things going backwards.
Yeah, it does seem that way, but I don't know. I don't think this is an answer we can... I don't think this is
I don't think it's ours. I don't think it's ours. But, Wombat, we're getting the tap of the evil glare from the corner again. We've got to wrap this up. So that's the round 13 review. We will see you all next time for our Origin review.